Hello, my colorful art band friends. It's officially spring and we're starting to see all the grays of winter melt away and little things are starting to grow in the ground. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's little green things, and pretty soon we're gonna have flowers that are yellow and red and blue, and it's super exciting. And last week's art bag was about light and dark. Everything was black and white. So this week's art bag is all about color, and the theme this week is what colors you up. All right, as always, project list. Fun drawing on the back. We have some oil pastels, a watercolor set, okay. There's a paintbrush in here, but you also have an extra paintbrush in your bag. We have some colored paper, and this paper is watercolor paper. So you might have some small squares and some bigger pieces. You might only have bigger pieces. They're all different sizes. And then the only extra thing you're gonna need for these projects from home is a little cup of water, okay? So the oil pastels we use first if we're using the pastels and the watercolors together, because they create a resist, because these are made oil pastels, right, with oil, so the water from the watercolor spills off the sides of them. I'll start with yellow actually. So one of the ideas on our project list is just to do a free form swirl drawing, and then we'll use the paint to fill in the shapes or to paint over the top. Okay? That right back. And with our paint, I'm gonna use this brush. Get your brush super wet. These paints, when they're dry, are sleeping, so we need to wake them up with a lot of water. So dip your brush in, get it super wet. There, and then you'll start to see the colors. So see how when I go over this, the pastels are pushing the blue paint off. You'll always be able to see the pastels through your watercolor paint. And if you want to paint inside a shape, the pastels make it really easy to follow those lines if you want to. Okay, now I want to use a different color, so I just rinse my brush off. You want to make sure that you're cleaning it in between the colors so they don't get all muddy. I'm going to switch to this bright pink. And I'll use that in a different space over here. One thing you can do is mix the colors together, but you want to do your mixing on the paper instead of on the palette. For the reason I just said, they'll get really muddy. So if I add pink to this blue, I can turn it into purple. All right, so you get the idea with that. And then the other fun thing is using your oil pastels on really brightly colored paper, because they show up on anything. This paper, the colored paper, is not really strong enough for the watercolor paint. It's not really thick enough. You can try it, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's mostly for the oil pastels. So I'm gonna pick a color that's really, really different than this orange. How about this lime green? And we can see how it shows up pretty bright on here. And when you're just using the oil pastels by themselves, you can fill in spaces. They also smear with your finger, and you can add layers over. Ooh, that red shows up really nice. So if you want to smear it, you can smear it in between to make some stripes. And see how it's overlapping with the yellow? They kind of mix together. Get sort of an orange in the middle. And some of the other ideas that we have for this box is to go back and forth with a friend. So let's say that I started with this and you have a friend that's with you that did their own kind of drawing, and then you swap. So your friend adds some and you add some and go back and forth. I think that's a pretty fun idea. It's called collaborative art, and these materials are a really fun way to make that happen. And then one of the other things we talk about on the project list is how when you have a piece like this, mine's still a little wet. We'll wait till yours is dry, but I'll show you how it works. If you have a piece like this and you want to share it with friends, watercolor paper tears really easy when it's been folded. So I would take this piece and I would fold it like this, use my thumb to press down super hard right in the middle. Sometimes you could even use your thumbnail. Oop, I made a little print because mine's still wet. And then fold it really hard like this. And then if you tear it really gently, it'll make a nice clean line. So if you wanted to make trading cards for your friends, that's a good way to split up a piece either that you've done together or on your own to share.